Time for stories. That's my name. Let's start the morning. Pelicans with good news and bad news last night. They won their 10th straight, beating the Kings 114-101. That's obviously the good news. Bad news, Anthony Davis left in the third quarter last night with an ankle injury. The night before, he left with a rib contusion. Nick, how big of a deal is this for the Pelicans?
I mean, it's a huge deal if it's a serious injury. I don't believe it is a serious injury. The Pelicans don't tend to think it's a serious injury. One of the reasons that he didn't come back last night was because they were mollywopping the Kings and they didn't need him to come back. Now, if we find out Anthony Davis out a few weeks, well, guess what? That 4 seed in the West could turn into the 9 seed in the West real quick. But I don't think that'll be the case. We know Anthony Davis is a little fragile, but he's been healthy this year. Hopefully that continues.
There's a lot of people that bump into stuff. You know what I'm saying, Jenna? Trip over stuff.
I got it.
All right?
Okay.
Anthony Davis
Even
is
athletic people.
Anthony Davis is one of those people.
Okay.
There's more of the greatest players in the league. He has more little simple injuries like this than those great players. Just makes me think and ponder.
Well, and Cece, I want to just elaborate just for a moment. I don't think Anthony Davis, to use your term, falls down or bumps into stuff more than other people. It just seems to affect him more. You know what I mean? Like, guys turn their ankle all the time. Guys get elbows and ribs all the time. For some reason, he seems less equipped to deal with it than the other great players.
I think more happens to him.
You think?
Yeah, he's like Jenna. She bumps into more stuff. Just that
Even a
big.
part of I fell twice.
Okay.
Dick Van Dyke.
The Raptors beat the Pistons in overtime last night. They clinched a playoff spot with 18 games left in this season. DeMar DeRozan had 42 points and some pretty stylish ones. Cece, what do you think the ceiling is for this Toronto Raptors team?
I think the NBA Finals. Right now, they can win the East. So the ceiling would have to be getting to the finals. Winning the East would be a great season for them. That's the only result that they would be happy with. Losing in the Eastern Conference Finals, that wouldn't be a great result for them. That's not the ceiling for them. It should be with home court advantage. It should be making it to the finals.
I believe they will have home court advantage, but I believe the ceiling for them is what it's been, to be honest, this entire era, the Eastern Conference Finals. If you remember a couple years ago, they were tied 2-2 with the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James was asked, he was like, oh, going to Toronto, Game 5. Adversity is like, I've faced adversity. This is not adversity. So maybe their ceiling is making the Cavs nervous, but I do not think they can win 4-7 against Cleveland. So to me, their ceiling is a Game 6 against Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, coming up Friday, these Raptors played the Rockets. Spoiler alert, the Rockets are pretty good. They won their 17th straight game last night. This one at the expense of the Milwaukee Bucks. James Harden with 26. Rockets now improved to 34-1 when Harden, Paul, and Clint Capella all play. I feel like they should all play. Nick, are the Rockets the most complete team in the NBA?
To me, they are. By the way, it should be noted, that one loss, a 2-point loss to Pelicans when they had Boogie before Boogie's injury. Like, that is their only loss, by the way, for the Rockets in the last 23 games. In this stretch of 22-1 over the last 23, they've beaten Golden State, they've beaten Oklahoma City, they've beaten Cleveland, they've beaten Boston, they've beaten Minnesota 3 times, beaten Utah a couple times. Last night they beat Milwaukee. They have beaten some of, or the best teams in the league over this stretch. When they are healthy, they are a team without any holes on the court. The questions about them off the court or from coaching are legitimate, but on the court, no holes, CC.
They've been the most consistent. On the court, I think there is a hole. That means playoff pressure, because that we haven't seen. So complete, I would say the most consistent. I believe with the complete part, we can kind of camouflage. What are they going to do in the playoffs? How's the coaching going to match up? Because Golden State is so exceptional at scoring the basketball and how they got guys that can take over at the end of the game. Now, you might say, overall, Houston's a better offense, but you can't say they got better coaching than Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr has been proven in critical situations. So him versus D'Antonio, are they more complete than Golden State? That right there is a very tough one for me. Golden State is still the team to beat, even though Houston has a better bench.
All right, finally, great performance from the Cavs last night. Cleveland beating Denver 113-108 on the road. LeBron led the way with 39 points, including 9 straight in the fourth quarter. Here's LeBron describing just how well he's been playing right now.
Probably at an all-time high, you know, just because of my body, my mind, the way I go out and approach the game. And then, you know, just the grace of God giving me the ability to do this. So, you know, I'm blessed, and I never take it for granted.
All right, CeCe, we're going to get to LeBron James specifically in a second, but first, how impressive was this win by Cleveland last night?
Well, LeBron was impressive. It wasn't an impressive win by Cleveland. I mean, Denver has had a good year, but without LeBron James being spectacular,
they don't win that game.
and heck no. This looked like more like a playoff game where LeBron just takes over. He's more aggressive offensively, not only at the beginning of the game, because we very rarely see that, where he had 22 in the first half. You saw in the third quarter what LeBron does. He starts to defer to his other teammates, and he had to come out hot in the fourth because Denver had gotten back in the game. So exceptional performance by LeBron James, not by the Cleveland Cavaliers.
The one you did see, non-LeBron Cavs, you did see Larry Nance continue to be an offensive force. You also saw in this game Rodney Hood potentially maybe get back on track a little bit. But this was obviously about LeBron. LeBron in the first half gave you 22, 4, and 6. It looked like that was all the Cavs were going to need. They had a double-digit lead at the half because of how they closed the second quarter. And then the very end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, Denver makes up that entire deficit. Jokic was really punishing Larry Nance on the defensive end of the court. And so what happens? LeBron is scoreless in the fourth quarter until the final minute and a half, where he scores, gets an and one, gets a three, and those two absolutely insane one-footed run, or floaters, if you want to call them that, to ice the basketball game. He was great. It was one of the 5 best games he's personally played all year, and winning in Denver is a tough thing to do. This Denver team went healthy with Millsap back, with Jokic playing as he is. This is a good basketball team, but LeBron obviously was the catalyst.
So, CeCe, do you think he's right that he's playing at an all-time high right now?
Well, anytime you have a great player who says that they're playing, you have to listen to what they're saying and the reasons for what he'd be saying it, because he doesn't have the supporting cast to be like, wow, he's like his own Golden State. He's playing with the most talent he's ever played with. No, that's not the case. What he talked about is his body. His body is in the best shape ever. When you look at physical maturity, when you look at athletes in their prime, typically men, if you look at track and field, most of the athletic or the sprinting records, they're not by world records. They're not by guys in their younger 20s. They are guys in their late 20s or in their early 30s. So there is a athletic maturity to LeBron. Let's not forget, he had the cramping situation earlier in his career in Miami. It seems like through dieting and some other adjustments that he's made, that right now, physically, he knows what he needs to do from a weight training standpoint, from a cardio standpoint. He has the best body that we've ever seen in NBA history. But the ability for him to understand where he is. I mean, he's second most minutes in the NBA at 33. Giannis is 23, averaging 33.3 minutes. LeBron at 37.1, 10 years older than him. I believe those numbers right there speak for themselves.
Well, and LeBron, if we remember last year, the reason resting became so controversial was because, God forbid, LeBron took some games off. So how has he responded this year? He's played all 64. So in a minutes per game standpoint, he's second in the league, but in total minutes played, he's first in the league. And you mentioned the athletic prime. Historically, the prime of NBA players has been a little younger than LeBron is. Historically, the prime for NBA guys is more 26 or 27 to 30, 31. Certainly, the prime has been before year 15. Now, LeBron not going to college, you're going to get to year 15 much younger than Jordan did, or the players from an earlier era aside from Kobe and Garnett. But the question is he playing as well as he's ever played? Offensively, absolutely he is. Now, he's not the defender he was those Miami years. In 2013, when he was second for Defensive Player of the Year, he is not that guy game in, game out defensively. But what we've seen from LeBron the last 2 years, he has set his career high in rebounding. He has set his career high in assists. He has set his career high in triple doubles last year, and he is going to break that record this year. Like we talked at the beginning of the season, CeCe, is LeBron playing the best basketball of his career? And then January happened. I just want to let the audience know what January was. That awful January, the only month he didn't win Eastern Conference Player of the Month. He gave you 23, 7, and 7 on 50% shooting. That was his awful month of the year. In NBA history, the only guys who ever averaged 23, 7, and 7 on 50% are Oscar Robertson and LeBron James. So, like, his awful year had only ever been done by Oscar Robertson. So, like, his awful month, I should say. So, yeah, I think offensively, he's as complete of a player, CeCe, as complete as he's ever been, I should say.
Let me ask you this, CeCe. Do you think LeBron wants to be in this situation where he has to single-handedly? I mean, I asked you, would they have won without him? No shot, no way. Do you think he likes being in that position where he knows that he has to turn it on every single night if his team is going to win?
He don't have no choice. He's the best. He's the best player in the world, and he doesn't have a choice. He wished the players were better.
No, but he could go somewhere where he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Where?
Well, like he did with Miami. I mean, next year I'm saying he could go somewhere.
The only player
and
in
not have
Miami
to
was
have that.
Dwayne Wade. So it was a unique point in his career. He'll never have that kind of opportunity again. All right. He talked Chris Bosh to being a star in Toronto into partnering with him and going to join Dwayne Wade. It is what it is. Great players. Yeah, they would like to play with other great players, but LeBron's not going to sit around and make excuses. Whoever Cleveland's able to go out and acquire or whoever they put on the team, that's all LeBron James can do. Great players, they want to play great, regardless of who's around them. Like he continues to make a statement, regardless of who's around him. That's what LeBron James, I believe, that will be his legacy too, regardless of the players that were around him. He was very, very consistent, and it's just hard to keep that level up. That's what speaks to how great he is, not how well he's playing now, which I believe he's shooting better than any point in his career, and I believe that in his body leads him playing the best basketball of his career.
And from a field goal percentage, three-point percentage, range shooting standpoint, and from an assist standpoint, these last 2 years are the best 2 years of his career. Now, obviously, even though he still, as you mentioned, CC, has what you call the best body in NBA history, he is not night in, night out as explosive going to the rim as he was his first time in Cleveland, when everything was at the rim. You remember the 48 special game against Detroit? Seemed like it was just repeatedly. We know where you're going. We can't stop you. That part of his game has changed. He can still channel it at times, but not repeatedly. One of the things that one of your favorite stats on LeBron that I know you love is if you take his final 3 years of high school and look at what he averages, 27, 7, and 7, give or take a point or a rebound or an assist in any given year. You take out his rookie year. So you take out his freshman year of high school, is 27, 7, and 7. You take out his rookie year in the NBA, he's 27, 7, and 7. This has been who he is. He can channel the 39-point games, but he doesn't, to answer your question, I don't think he particularly likes to. Like, he would rather have 10 assists with 25 points than 35 points with 5 assists. Night like last night, I mean, he got both, right? He had the 39 points to go along with double-digit assists, so he was able to do it both last night. In order for the Cavs to have any shot at winning a championship, that's the type of performance he's going to need to have 3 or 4 times in the NBA Finals.
But he can't have George Hill and JR get 7 and 6. That's the reason why he had to do that last night, because the lack of productivity from the guard position. So back to the original question, with Cleveland great win, LeBron James was great.
Right.
All right? And a couple of the guys around him, they were just guys.
So if somehow he can win with this group, would that just basically solidify his legacy?
It would be I think it would be the greatest accomplishment of his career, winning a title this year, beating this Warriors team or this Rockets team.
No, I think that coming back from down 3-1 with all the pressure on him, it's hard to beat that. I mean, it's hard to beat that drama. Yeah. Draymond suspended. LeBron came back, dagger, Game 5, dagger, Game 6. Finishing him out in Game 7 against one of the greatest teams that we had ever seen for regular season record. Let me see them top that.
If they win the title, though, CC, he's at 6 rings by your math, correct?
No, I do the Cleveland math on it.
You get 2 for each ring in Cleveland. So
but you can't take my math when I'm making him the second greatest ever, though, and use it to your benefit.
No. I'm just letting the audience know. If they win this ring, you think he has 6 titles.
Yeah, but he would still have lost 5.
Okay. All right.
All right, coming
what
up.
kind of math teacher are you?
Break out the calculator.
I was just talking about the win, CC.
Le'Veon Bell really skip out on the 2018 season. Talk about that next on First Things First.